Tim and Trish Anderson over here for the entertainment we had, Marlon and the guitar. I also want to thank Eamon Keegan, who is my campaign consultant. He's over here. And David Shrew, right? David Shreem is also with Eamon. I have some of my campaign team here. Joey Spain, who is the treasurer. Jeff White is staying right over here. Dave Cockdale couldn't be here today, but David White is here. And then Eric Easton sitting right here as well. This is my campaign team. And so if you have something to say or you want to volunteer, you can check with one of them to see what, where we have our needs. I also want to thank everybody here that contributed to my last campaign, and there are also other people here who have contributed to this campaign. I want to thank you all for that. And of course, I want to thank my wife and my family for being willing to go through this again. This will be the third time now that we've gone through this process, and I don't think it gets any easier. In fact, maybe even gets a little harder each time. But I just want to say thanks to everybody that's been supporting me, because without you, this couldn't be done. It absolutely could not be done. We have a few people that I want to introduce you to. Everybody knows Karen Handell. But thank Karen for, she was the District 6 representative for us, and I understand she is going to run again. There you go. We also have David Belle, a good friend, and the kind of individual that had vision for Alpharetta. And the success that Alpharetta has experienced is because of this man right here. And I am proud to name him a friend of mine. We also have a couple of council members. We have Willsey, and we have Matt Tyser over here. And then Lisa Holland was here. And she's,
there she is.
Oh, there's Lisa. Lisa is also running for council, not against me. She's running for seat 3. I'm running for seat 1. And then we have Jeff Smith. Sorry, Jeff Smith is running for seat 2. So, if you look at some of my campaign materials, you're going to see that there are some familiar items. I've noticed that not a whole lot has happened since the last time I campaigned. There were some things that I was working on, and things that I was concerned about. And sorry about that. No, there are things that need to happen in Roswell, and we need to get a good team of 6 individuals that can see some of those things happen. Individuals that have vision for Roswell and really see this city begin to make some progress. Some of those issues, one of them is, once again, revitalizing those shopping centers, right? I talked about this the last time. It hasn't changed. We've got the Southern Skillet property is just about to break ground. As soon as they close with the city on that property, they're going to break ground, and that is going to be a transformational project. We have a couple other old shopping centers that are one is under construction right now, reconstruction, and another one will start probably in the next year or 2. There are others that we need to somehow get developers interested in redeveloping and turning those things into projects that are going to make Roswell a better place. Some of the other things that, in terms of reforming growth and development, I'm concerned that our process, our application process is broken. A developer or property owner will come in to the city in the application process. They put a lot of money into potential plans, and they'll go so far, and then things get shot down. My personal feeling is that process needs to start earlier, and it needs to start earlier before they invest money, and maybe with a citizen group and council members and staff members You sit down before the process even begins, before application is made, and then we might have a better chance of getting a good project. I'm also still interested in hiring a town architect. I've said this before. I think with a town architect, somebody that can take a strategic look of the city that will have better projects in the long run. There are so many cities with historical significance, like Franklin, Tennessee, that have a town architect. And they make things happen that everybody's happy about because the town architect has a view of the whole city and every character area. So I'm going to be pushing for that as we go along. In terms of traffic congestion, we know that this T-SPLOST is going to help. I hope I can add some urgency to some of those projects that come along. But there's one other thing that I'm going to push again, and that's smart city technology. We're in the 21st century. Roswell needs to move into the 21st century. If we have this Internet of Things with IBM Watson or some other Internet of Things provider, we can have technology that will help us move traffic along. You've been in this situation, you've been at a stoplight, you just came up with a stoplight as it was turning red. There's nobody coming from either direction. And you sit there for a minute and a half, 2 minutes, waiting for that light to change. The system we have is a timer system. It senses when there's metal above it, and as soon as you stop at the stoplight, the timer sets, and then you have to wait through the cycle. But if we can use the Internet of Things, we can get these sensors 500 feet to 1,000 feet away from the traffic light, and it will know if there's any traffic coming. And if you come up there and it just turned red, it'll turn green for you right away. Those are the kinds of things that can help traffic move along. Once this kind of system is put in place, then you can have autonomous trolleys. And couldn't we use an autonomous trolley or a system going around the historic district, especially on Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays? That would be, and for this to be an historic city and to have autonomous trolleys going around town, I think would be a great coup for this city of Roswell. We have a significant imbalance in our tax structure. We have about 27% commercial tax base and a 73% residential tax base. And over the long run, that is just unsustainable without raising taxes on the homeowner. And so I'm going to make it an important part of what I do to recruit businesses to come into the city, to work with Roswell Inc. and whoever else I need to work with to bring new businesses into the city. We have to change that dynamic. We have to get a much more balanced tax base. If we look at our friends in Alpharetta, they probably got about a 40-45% residential tax base.
It's about 66-33.
66-33. So that's, and look at Sandy Springs. They've got about a 75% commercial, 25% residential. So if we really want to change that, we're going to have to invite people in, new businesses, new kinds of construction, new kinds of development in the commercial area. Yeah, it's going to help that. Of course, our historic districts is important. Most people know me as an historic preservationist. I've been active with the Friends of Mimosa even before Friends of Mimosa got involved. I was advocating for the city to buy Mimosa Hall for our city. But that's just one of the areas that I've found important about historic preservation. I've been involved in historic preservation for a long time. We just went through an historic preservation study, or a historic district master plan, and we need to adopt that. I think they did adopt it, didn't they, on Monday night? They adopted the historic district master plan. Now we have to implement the recommendations. And that'll be what I am going to be working on headlong once I get on council. We also need to update the city codes to put in protections for some of those character areas. That's why I don't need that anymore. But as we get moving along here, we need to understand that some of the issues with City Hall, some of the narratives, some of the divisiveness that has happened over the past few years has got to change. We can't. We're a small city. We have 100,000 residents, we're a small city, we're neighbors, we're friends and neighbors, and we've got so much divisiveness going on in the city right now. So I think there's a need for cooperation, there's a need for compromise, there's a need for objectivity with all the decision making that goes on. And I think it's time for real leadership. I mean, leadership is not a campaign slogan. Leadership is much more than that. Leadership is getting people to do willingly what they might not ordinarily do on their own. That's a Norman Schwarzkopf quote. You have to be inspiring. As a leader, you have to get people excited about what you're doing, and you have to dialogue, and let's face it, it's about relationships. If you don't develop relationships, you're not going to provide any kind of leadership. So leadership is important, and we need that at City Hall at the highest levels. I can't say enough how important this election is. You know, I said the last election was important, right? It gets more important, it seems, every time. We're at crossroads right now in Roswell, and we need to have a group of people that can work together cooperatively to move this city forward. And it's so important that we get out to vote. In an off-year election like this, we might get 9,000 or 10,000 people out to vote out of a voter base of 67,000 registered voters. So if you only get 9,000 or 10,000 people out, that's a very small number. So I'm going to rely on all of you to talk to your neighbors and make sure that they get out to vote. I have signs. You can take signs with you. I've got some printed material that you can take with you as well. And I hope that that you will take it upon yourselves to get your neighbors to get out and vote. By the way, when it comes to yard signs, for every yard sign that's in a yard, that's 5 votes for that candidate. Those are the numbers. The signs on the side of the road, it looks good. If you have a lot of signs out there, maybe people think you're really a popular candidate. But the ones that make a difference are the yard signs that are in the yard. And I hope you'll take one with you when you go. Also, there's a sign-up sheet if you want to volunteer. And this is the hard part, right? Campaigns are expensive, and they've gotten more and more expensive every year since I've been running. And so if you can find it in your resources to contribute to the campaign, that would also be very, very welcome. So I want to end with this, and it's simply, I want you to get out and vote. November 5th is the election. We need to get as many people out to vote as we possibly can. Knock on your neighbors' doors, call friends, do whatever you have to do to make sure they get out and vote, and especially on the day of the election, or if you've got friends that go out and early vote, make sure that they're or if they want to early vote, they don't want to, there probably won't be any lines in a municipal election, but anyway, get your friends out to vote in any case. So I'm going to ask for your vote. I would say that those of you who know me, you know you can trust Don Horton. He's going to do the thing that's right for the city. I'm objective. I've got a reputation for being fair and objective. You can ask anybody that sat with me on council. I looked at every side of the issue before I made a decision. And so I believe Don Horton is a name you can trust. So I want to ask once again, but I want you to go out and vote because it's really for our families, it's for our future, and it's for Roswell. Thank you.